Hello and welcome to Velocity This Week. My name is Christopher Durham and I'm the president of the Velocity Institute. If you've watched much, this is my weekly opportunity to talk to all the cool people in retail, private brand, sustainability, innovation, always with that private brand slant on it. It's what we do here. Today I'm excited to welcome Kim Carswell. Kim, it's great to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. Kim, first off, let's learn about Kim. So tell us about yourself.
I just retired from Target a couple of years ago, and I have a career in packaging. I started at General Mills. I went to Kraft Foods, back to General Mills. And the last 17 years, I was at Target. And what I learned in my career was, as a packaging person at General Mills, how to design a good package. And then when I got to Kraft, I understand how to design packaging for consumers and how they use them and think more about the consumer facing piece. And then my time at Target, I really understood sustainable packaging. So in each company, I've had the honor to really expand my knowledge in packaging. And I think now the students coming out of the packaging schools have all of that when they come out and work. Because I think basic package design to protect something, understanding how the consumer will react with it, and then being sustainable are all important. So now I met.
You live in Minnesota still? You're still in Minneapolis?
Yeah, I'm still in Minneapolis. Been there over 20 years.
So 17 years at Target, you would have seen all the major brand launches then, right?
A lot of good ones. Some of my favorites were the Good and Gather one, which was one the last 5 years, but we worked so hard on that food brand, and then some other niche brands we did. But yeah, we were learning to go from a label or private label brand to a true brand, and Target was building some great internal expertise to do that. A lot of people that came there from CPGs, so you could see the company evolving, bringing more technical people in, packaging people, product developers, et cetera.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. So tell us about what you're doing now. What does your business look like today after you've retired from Target?
I'm doing all sorts of fun things, all the things I want to do. I'm volunteering. I'm doing some local community activity. And I'm also a consultant with a new arm of the SBC's created called Navigate. And Paul Nowak, the executive director, had this idea that companies need to move faster and that the current staff couldn't help the companies at home. Basically, they were organizing the information and the conferences. And so I was honored that he asked me, along with Nina Goodrich, the previous executive director, and Laura Thompson, to join this small team. And so now we're building this team to help companies figure out what they need to do where they are. Most of them are retailers and CPGs, but we have a good plan to just understand, where are you? How do you just tease all the things you want to do in the right sequence so you're more effective? A lot of best practices, just connecting dots. So it's been fun to help companies do that.
So for those of you who don't know SPC, it's a Sustainable Packaging Coalition. Just in case you're in, I don't know, China or somewhere, and you don't know, you can go to their website. Paul Nowak leads it. He has been on an earlier version of this, so you can take a look at his interview as well. And then he'll be speaking at our Sustainability Summit in October if you'd like to come see him in person as well. So tell us more about some of the work you're doing there. What do the projects look like?
Basically, we're helping companies understand the things that they need to do to unlock their sustainability work. So sometimes it's a way to help them activate the work internally. So like understanding legislation and how that's important, understanding their competition and what they're doing in the sustainable space, understanding their consumer sentiments, because those are the things that attract internal leadership attention. And once we help them with that, we then help them lay out the work that will unlock the path so they can go faster or just get started. So things like understanding your data. And this was a huge learning for me at Target. I just did not appreciate the data. And I had to really work with people that did appreciate data. And I had some good partners there. So we had to understand, everyone thought we had the most plastic in one item, but it was basically another item because the weight of the packaging and the sales information weren't connected. Once you connect that information, you have such power to understand where to focus, show progress on your goals, talk to your internal partners. And so for us at Target, it was a bit of a lift because all the businesses had different levels of data. But even the best data, we didn't have the right information, like basic things like package weight, and if it was recyclable, and if it used the how to recycle label. So one of the first things you want to talk to clients is really understanding your data, and then what do you need to do to lift it up. Another key thing is your team acumen. So, you sign up for these goals, but one of my learnings was I wasn't spending enough time with the teams to make them comfortable to go into these cross-functional meetings at a Target with merchants and product developers and quality people and finance people. And as a packaging engineer, leading work and saying we want to use more recycled content. Like, how do you provide the tools so they're comfortable doing that as an engineer?
Right.
Aligning your goals with your corporate focus areas, like if it's carbon or waste, is helpful. And then just making sure leadership's aligned. So you're not having that prioritization discussion at a cross-functional team level. There's been discussions higher saying we're going to do this work or not. And so that's been a theme of things we're seeing in some of the work we're doing with the Navigate team.
I think it's interesting because, that project manager level packaging engineer, if they buy in and they get what the goals are, is really the front line.
Yeah,
it's
right.
that's the
That's
person you ask.
exactly right. That's exactly where those conversations happen. And if your engineer isn't clear and isn't comfortable bringing it forward, it just won't happen.
Well, or isn't honestly brave enough to say, gosh, this pack is too
Exactly.
big.
It's a very courageous
Or
step we're asking of them.
it's easy to say sustainability costs more, but I'm not calling Target out, but I'll call everybody out. There's a lot of packaging out there that just doesn't need to exist. Or it could be smaller, or it could be a different
Yeah.
material, or
Yeah.
that whole partnering to be better is important.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing I would add is really partnering with your manufacturing partners, because all retailers many don't make things. I know some are more vertically integrated, but I think sometimes we tell them what we want and we don't just pause for 1 second to find out what they're doing in a space, especially in the packaging space where they're doing a lot of things for other customers. And it's a huge pre-collaborative space to align on and ask them what they're doing, what are their issues, before we just say we want more recycled content or we want to reduce the weight by this. And so I think there's a huge in between space there that if we leverage it, we could find out more. And then it would let those manufacturers lead us all through it, right? By saying, we're doing this for all of you. We're going to do it in this order, but we're not going to do one for you and one for you. We'll get to everybody, but let's just do it in a good order. I have huge passion to leverage that space.
I've seen a couple of retailers basically invite their major manufacturers in a couple of times a year and say, show me your new stuff in sustainability, in flavor, in whatever the expertise of it was, and challenge us. Don't show us what you think you'll sell. Show us what the really cool stuff is.
Yeah.
And it opens up the conversation. Manufacturers talk about wanting to be collaborative, but then they only give you what you ask for and you only expect it.
Yeah. Just visiting them and going to their locations and meeting more people than the one person you might know. And listening to them. I think it does so much. It honors them because you're giving them some time, and listening to them, you're always going to get something back. So I think there's a huge opportunity for those private label manufacturers to lead this work in packaging sustainability, because it's not really a competitive advantage. Consumer doesn't look for more PCR in one, cereal carton versus another or a pouch. But if we all did it on the same road and we all said we'll get to 10, 15, 20, I think it would be such an unlock in all the energy. So instead of managing different projects and inventories and tests, let's just go and do it together.
And I think it's an exciting future for where we're going and the opportunity to make a difference.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, as you look, I think you said you're on the Alabama coast right now, hanging out with your partner.
I am. Yeah, my partner and I and my rescue dog, Lily, we're just down here taking hikes every day and just enjoying being outside. Coming from Minnesota in February, it's a treat.
So it's interesting because you've retired from arguably one of the better retailers in the United States, and now you're able to have a good quality of life and travel and consult and do things. What does the next year look like for you? I mean,
I'm going to become a grandmother in June. My daughter's expecting a baby, so first grandchild. I'm super excited. Just working on that with baby shower stuff right now. I'm volunteering and at the Raptor Center at the University of Minnesota, where I take care of the injured raptors that are released back into the wild. So I learn a lot there. And then on the consulting front, I'm looking forward to doing a couple big projects with the Navigate team, with retailers or other clients that come in, just to unleash and help them move faster. And that's our passion on that, is to just help people do what they want to do faster and better.
I think it's an interesting opportunity I feel like so often we're in justification mode for sustainability. I have to convince you to be more sustainable, that it's a good idea, that people care, so that if you can build a team who's no longer in justification mode, but you're in execution mode. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be your internal team. It can be a consulting team. It could be your private label manufacturers. There's different ways this work can get done depending on how you are organized and how you want to prioritize the work.
So what advice would you give to a retailer or a private brand manufacturer? What are the top things you'd say?
I think the first thing is just to get your arms around what you have. So understanding your data from what materials do you use, and if you have specs, great, tie those to your sales data just to say, here's how much we have. Look at simple pie charts and bar charts where people can understand. And I think if you don't have the data, work to get the data, but don't make it perfect. If you have your top 20 items or 80% of your sales, just focus on those and focus on with those big suppliers to get that data. I know everyone says they started in an Excel spreadsheet when they get their packaging data and everyone's moving forward, but sometimes you can build your data system while you've figured out your top 20 products or 80% of your sales and where to focus your work. You can do that together. But I think the data is a heavy lift for retailers because it's not typically the information that's in a spec if they have a spec. Way back when at Target, there was just a little bit of packaging data in the product spec. Now we have they have great packaging specs, different systems. But you have to honor that journey. It's not going to turn over in a couple of months. You have to make sure the data is coming in, that it's credible, and then over time you want to certify it. But I think you can get started with a little scrappier approach to just figure out where you're big. And then once you have that data, people pay attention because it's data. You can say, when I was at Target back in 2016, we had an intern do some of that first work, but we still could put together pie charts and bar charts, and people looked at it. And to be honest, she's a crackerjack engineer and she's hired now at Target, but we started with her data to do some of the reporting we had to do externally because it's all we had. But we had it to build off of. What we had to manage was the data getting better and the numbers changing, going up and down. And we just had to manage that conversation with people. But we were doing the right thing to tighten up the data. But it was a good taste of how heavy a lift the data is. And you have to find your internal partners too. You can't do that on your own. No. You got to find your IT people. You got to find people that can listen to what you want, but that can actually do that. And I had great partners at Target that helped there.
I know. So regular viewers. So I worked for Lowe's Home Improvement for, I don't know, almost 5 years. And we had a couple of categories that had very significant breakage. The glass and light fixtures or something like that would break. And we were able to leverage a very expensive problem to hire an entire packaging engineering team and some outside groups to go back and look at the packaging with the first goal of reducing the breakage. But what ended up happening is the packaging got better and smaller and it cubed out better. And we ended up saving hundreds of thousands of tons of different kinds of packaging.
That's a great story because you're looking at being smarter. You're looking at the total system, and the packaging engineers designing for the total system, reducing breakage, increased shipping efficiency, looking good on the shelf. But that's a great story.
I have a tendency to believe we're all still fat and happy on most packaging and aren't thinking about it enough, and it's too easy still. So we'll get there, though. We'll get there. Are you speaking at any events or conferences this year? Do you know?
I'm not speaking, but I'm happy to say I'll be in New Orleans for the next SPC conference, and we have happy hours for this Navigate team, so you can join. People can sign up. We can have a quick private conversation to understand what you're doing to see if we can help you. And I'm looking forward to just attending some of the sessions because they're tying carbon to packaging. So tying carbon to packaging to me is something I think we all want to do, and I'm looking forward to learning more about that. That's the first week of April.
I'll be there as well. So
Good.
I will absolutely be there. I wonder, and I don't want to promote any specific software. There's a lot of software guys out there selling traceability for packaging. What are your thoughts on implementing that?
I don't think there's a ton out there that's really good at packaging. The two that I've come across that seem to get it, understand the type of information you need and how to make it easier, a spec right. And then Aura is a UK-based consulting firm in sustainable packaging. They have eHalo, and both of them seem to understand what is needed and try to make it easy to implement because they understand like the recyclability, the need to be able to track your increase in recyclability, et cetera.
And we had Trevor from Aura.
So you know about eHalo,
I know Trevor, and the other one was the folks from How Good.
Oh, I haven't heard of that, but I saw that was one of your previous. I need to.
There's a lot of people trying to figure out, and like I say, I'm not endorsing any of them.
Yep.
I'm endorsing you doing something, but you make your own choice.
Totally, totally. Yeah, totally.
But I think the opportunity to capture the data is certainly something that we have to do.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. So as you look forward to the future, then so the future of private brands, of sustainability, what does it look like? Where can we go? Where should we go?
I think that people, you read this every year, every time there's a recession or people are looking to manage money, how private label brands are gaining traction because people are seeing the benefit from them. So I definitely think they're here to stay. And I think the companies that are treating them as true brands, like a Target, you need to think about the consumer's expectation with those brands and their sentiment. And so I think all the work in sustainable packaging that's going on will continue to go on because consumers just want to know they're making a good decision. And when it comes to the package, it's lower than the product flavor, the quality, the
Right.
price, etc. But it's also something that you can offer them as part of that brand's essence, like we're a good brand. And so I think companies that have goals that are working in sustainability should keep working on them. There's just legislation coming that you have to work on. You can take either way to trigger your work, what you want to do or what you need to do. And I know there's a lot of goals that are cited to end of 25, cited with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation work. And I think companies need to start looking past 25 and just say, we're on a trajectory. Here's what we did by 25, and here's what we're doing to keep going, and just be honest and transparent and stay on the road. And I think most consumers are going to say, great, like they don't know these goals are existing. The companies have to navigate the non-government associations that might, or organizations that might cause them a little bit of unwanted attention, but all the companies are in it together. They're all doing the right thing. And if you think of the trajectory this has created, I think it's a good thing. And just look beyond 25 and really understand what will it take to lift things even better.
To me, transparency and honesty is the best piece of advice we can give any of those folks. It's
Totally.
There's nothing to say that all of this is going to be easy. Some of it certainly is easier than other parts, but don't blow smoke. Don't pretend something's green when it's not. Don't be honest. Be transparent about it.
And what consumers care about. One of my favorite bosses I had at Target, she said, when we talk about packaging, we need to show the consumer we care what they care about. And so that was super helpful for me. What do they care about? We'll talk about it. We don't need to talk about every possible claim we can make on a package. But if we know they care about something to recycle or that it's been reduced in size, you put that message on there, but don't put every message. But she always said, we want to show the consumers we care about what they care about. And I think to your point, it's simple then because they don't get into it as deep as an engineer would, and you can be transparent and consistent and honest. You get way more traction.
You can always have more data on your website or wherever you want to. There are people that want all that stuff. You want to know.
And you can show them where to go with it, and have beautiful charts and images.
There's a whole lot more people that walk up and go, "Ooh, Good and Gather coffee is fair trade and it's recyclable." And okay, that sounds great. Thanks.
Right.
That's very good. I appreciate you joining us. We always end up with the same 5 questions. So question number 1, what's your favorite word?
Optimism. I love optimism.
I don't even have to ask why on that one. That's an easy one. I like that. Question number 2, are you a more artistic or more mathematic person?
I think I'm transitioning from mathematic to artistic. I'm taking some watercolor classes online and enjoying the process, not trying to paint anything to hang on the wall, but just the learning how to manage the paints and the colors and the water and the brushes. So I think artistic.
That's on my list of things to do someday in retirement.
It's fun. Paint. It's fun. If you don't want to put something on the wall, you just want to learn. It's fun to see what you can produce.
But I want to do giant. I want to do giant modern Jasper Johns paints.
Oh, okay. Keep me posted on that.
I have no idea how to do any of that, but that's. I think it sounds fabulous. So if you could share a meal with anyone, past or present, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Oh, there's so many people, Christopher, but I actually think I'm quite into genealogy. It would be great-great-great-grandparents that lived in Scotland and Norway and England to understand what their life was like. You get on ancestry.com and you can get dates and names and places, but I want to talk to them, understand what was it like, what made them come here, and then when they got here, how hard things were. So it would be with a collection of my forebears, I'd say.
That's a good answer. Let's see. What profession other than your own would you have liked to have attempted?
I think a history teacher. I think we need to teach history better. not just dates and names, but stories and more history that's in the books today. So I think I might want to explore that.
Context is always good.
Context is a great word. Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, number 5, if you could speak to yourself at the beginning of your career, what advice would you give yourself?
I think to really keep being curious and understand more about the company you're working at versus what you're doing as an engineer. Sometimes as an engineer, I'd focus just on the package, and I see other people do that, but I think I would encourage people to, so how does this company make money? What are the competitive pressures? Understand the company so you show up as a more business-minded engineer. And I think you get more credibility that way.
It puts it in context there as well. Right?
Maybe that's my second favorite word.
It's people do their jobs in little bubbles.
Yeah.
And then they can't quite figure out why they're never great at it. And it's because
they're not talking to people in the bubble. They have to talk to people.
How do they use it? How do they make money off of it? What makes their life better? Whatever those questions are.
Yep.
Very good. I appreciate you joining us, Kim.
Thank you again for this opportunity.
So we always end up with talking about some of the things that we have going on. So we have some cool events coming up actually this week. Or actually next week, we're doing our Velocity Private Brand and AI Summit. If you're terrified of AI, I'll tell you this is the place to come because I firmly believe it's not a terrifying thing for retail and private brands and can save you a lot of time and money if you do it well. That'll be February 21st. We'll follow that up in March with another virtual event on innovation and manufacturing. Both those are absolutely free. You can register for them right now. They're 2-hour events. They go pretty quick and you learn a lot of stuff. Then in May, we'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina for the 7th or 8th year in a row to do our Velocity Institute Conference and Expo. That's our biggest event of the year. We'll give out Vertex Awards. So if you entered, you can come see all the cool stuff. We have about 700 entries this year from around the world. So a lot of great winners. Judging is going on as we speak. Tickets are available for that as well. And then we've got the entire calendar published for the rest of the year. We've got actually 10 events going on this year. So lots of fun stuff. Thank you very much, Kim.
Yeah, thank you again. Take care.